This is the nightmare scenario the MAGA inner circle feared most. Donald Trump is staring down a total mutiny as his own chosen successor prepares to seize the throne. Reports are surfacing that a secret blueprint for a political coup is currently circulating within the highest levels of the party. It is called regime change, and it is not just a book title anymore. This is the active strategy being used to dismantle the Trump legacy from the inside out. First, his top staffer is purged. Then, a radical new philosophy takes hold. Meanwhile, the legal walls are closing in like never before, and if that was not enough, there's a new development regarding the Epstein files that changes everything for the 2024 ticket. Welcome to Waveborne Command, where we track the real-time collapse of the Republican establishment. I am your host, and we are diving deep into the betrayal no one saw coming. Make sure to subscribe now and hit the notification bell to help us reach our next major milestone of truth in media. We start with a massive shakeup that just rocked the halls of power in Washington. Jacob Reeses, the powerful chief of staff for J.D. Vance, has reportedly been ousted. This signals a total declaration of war. This is not just another standard staff departure. It is a tactical purge designed to clear the way for a new regime. Sources from within the Vance camp suggest Reeses was the primary architect of a plan to move the party beyond the Trump era entirely. Donald Trump is reportedly livid, viewing this move as the first shot in a long-plotted insurrection against his leadership. Let us look at the evidence that proves this is not just a rumor. For months, J.D. Vance has been quietly aligning himself with a radical ideology. He even attended a high-profile launch for the book Regime Change by Patrick Deneen. This work calls for the total replacement of current elites with a more disciplined class. While the public sees a loyal soldier on the campaign trail, the internal documents show a man building a parallel power structure. The timing of this staff purge matches perfectly with a massive shift in Vance's public rhetoric and his private meetings with deep-pocketed donors. It is a move toward what insiders are calling competent Trumpism. That is a polite way of saying that the movement believes Trump is the problem and Vance is the solution. But it gets even more dangerous for the former president as the two camps begin to clash openly in the halls of power. Trump has always demanded absolute loyalty, but he is finding that his own movement is evolving into something he can no longer control. The regime change philosophy argues that the current leadership is too weak and too chaotic to achieve long-term nationalist goals. By removing Reeses, Vance is either cleaning house for a 2028 presidential run or being forced to cut ties by a paranoid inner circle. Either way, the alliance that was supposed to save the party is now completely shattered. Think about the optics of this situation for just a moment. You have a senator who is supposedly the future of the brand, yet he is reading manifestos about overthrowing established orders. This is the internal fracture we have been warning you about on Waveborne Command for months. It is finally coming to a head in a public way. Now, look at the recent headlines surrounding the Trump legal team and their failure to stop the latest document releases. They are scrambling to contain a new wave of disclosures that could provide the perfect excuse for Vance to jump ship. If you follow the money and the power, the dots lead straight to a calculated takeover of the party's infrastructure. But J.D. Vance might not have the patience to wait for another 4 years. The tension has reached a boiling point that cannot be sustained. Rumors are swirling about heated confrontations over sensitive intelligence and the future of American foreign policy. Some insiders suggest Vance is already acting like the leader. This brings us to the most explosive part of this entire development. A massive trove of unsealed documents is about to hit the public record. These files involve the infamous Jeffrey Epstein case. They contain names that could end political careers overnight and reset the entire 2024 landscape. While Trump's legal team is reportedly in a state of total panic, Vance's camp is doing something very different and very suspicious. They are not trying to hide the truth or block the releases in court. In fact, they are now demanding total transparency and a full accounting of names. Why would a supposedly loyal ally want to air out the party's dirtiest and most damaging laundry? He wants to be the only one standing. He is positioning himself as the clean alternative to the heavy baggage of the past decade. It is a cold move to sacrifice the leader, and the Regime Change Manifesto provides the moral cover for this exact type of betrayal. It argues the movement is bigger than any one man. That is a direct threat to Donald Trump's ego and his very political survival. We are watching the first stages of a political civil war. The ousting of Jacob Reeses is just the visible tip of a much larger iceberg. Below the surface, the groundwork is being laid for a total replacement. Trump's inner circle knows exactly what is happening, and they are starting to lash out with increasing desperation as their influence wanes. But it might already be too late to stop the momentum that Vance has built behind the scenes. He has the donors and the intellectual framework. Keep your eyes on the next few days as the document releases begin. The unsealed files are coming, and the details are more disturbing than predicted. We are talking about allegations that go far beyond simple political scandals or campaign finance violations. The name Sarah Ransom is about to return. Her emails contain descriptions of videos and fetishes that are so bizarre they sound like a political fever dream. Vance is already using these leaks. He is distancing himself at the exact moment Donald Trump needs a united front the most. This is the ultimate betrayal from within. It is a power play designed to leave the former president isolated, vulnerable, and ultimately replaceable. The political daggers are being drawn in the shadows. This is a total transformation of the entire American political landscape. If you want to stay ahead, you need to stay tuned to Waveborn Command. We are the only ones connecting these complex dots in real time as the situation unfolds. The internal war is just getting started. Trump thought he could control his handpicked successor with simple threats. He was fundamentally wrong about the nature of the man he brought inside. The regime change has already begun, and there is no turning back now. Every staffer in the West Wing is looking over their shoulder. The departure of Recess has sent a shockwave through the entire Republican infrastructure. It is a signal to donors that power is shifting. Vance's team is already vetting new loyalty, but it is not loyalty to the man at the top. It is loyalty to the post-liberal future. We are seeing the dismantling of a political dynasty in real time. As the Epstein files leak, the narrative will shift from defense to a purge. This is the moment where the hunter becomes the hunted. Trump is about to realize the most dangerous person is sitting right next to him. The next chapter of this crisis involves a set of emails that will change the course of the election. These are the ransom files. They contain allegations that are impossible to ignore. Vance knows exactly what is in them, and he is ready to make his final move for power. The ransom files aren't just a collection of old emails. They are a political landmine that has just been detonated inside the MAGA inner circle. Within these unsealed documents are the Sarah ransom claims, surfacing with a graphic intensity that no one in the campaign was prepared to handle. At the center of this firestorm is a set of allegations regarding a specific nipple fetish that has the MAGA base reeling and the opposition salivating. While these claims were previously retracted by Ransom in 2016, their inclusion in the official unsealed Epstein files has given them a new, devastating life. J.D. Vance isn't playing defense on this scandal. He is leaning directly into the chaos by demanding maximum transparency. He is calling for every single page to be released to the public, a move that looks like a calculated betrayal of Donald Trump. Connect the dots here. By forcing these graphic details into the light, Vance is effectively distancing himself from the toxic history of the Epstein social circle. He is positioning himself as the only clean actor in a room full of compromised figures. This isn't just about PR. It's about a fundamental shift in the power structure of the Republican Party. Vance is following a script that was never meant for public consumption, one that prioritizes his own political survival over party loyalty. This strategy is deeply rooted in the ideological framework of the book Regime Change. While some have mistakenly attributed this work to Maggie Haberman, the reality is much more significant for the future of the movement. The real book, authored by Patrick Deneen, serves as the blueprint for the post-liberal future that Vance is currently building. This is not a work of gossip. It is a manual for the total restructuring of the American government. Vance has publicly praised Deneen's work and appeared at its launch, signaling his commitment to a new, aggressive form of populism. He is using the current scandal to justify a complete purging of the old GOP guard. It gets worse from here. Inside the vice president's office, the tension has reached a breaking point as the internal power struggle spills into the hallways. Vance's chief of staff, Jacob Reeses, is reportedly at the center of this escalating friction. Reeses has been a key architect of Vance's political rise, but his presence is now a source of extreme paranoia for the Trump loyalists. They see him as the man holding the keys to a kingdom they are no longer invited to lead. Now look at the Situation Room dynamics. Reports are surfacing that Vance is using his access to push for disclosures that would normally be classified under national security protocols. He is effectively bypassing the traditional chain of command to ensure that the Epstein files remain a top-tier news item. This is a direct challenge to the authority of the president and a signal that the hierarchy is collapsing. Think about the timing of these developments. The ransom files didn't just appear by accident. They were unsealed at the exact moment Vance needed a wedge to separate himself from the scandals of the past. This is a masterclass in political opportunism. By embracing the scandal, Vance is making himself immune to the fallout while his rivals are left to drown in the graphic details of the ransom emails. But the internal war is only one part of the equation. As the domestic scandal grows, a much more dangerous international crisis is beginning to take shape behind closed doors. We are now seeing the first signs of a major intelligence breach that could redefine America's role in the Middle East. Vance is reportedly moving in a direction that directly contradicts decades of established foreign policy. Here is where things get truly interesting. While the public is focused on the retracted ransom emails, the real damage is being done in the shadows of international diplomacy. Vance's skepticism of foreign entanglements is shifting from a campaign talking point to a dangerous reality for our closest allies. The traditional alliance between the MAGA movement and Israel is starting to show deep, irreparable cracks. This changes everything. The bond between Trump and Netanyahu, which was once considered unbreakable, is now being tested by a vice president who has his own agenda for the region. Connect these dots carefully. A domestic sex scandal is being used as cover for a massive shift in global intelligence and military strategy. Vance is playing a game that is 3 steps ahead of anyone else in Washington. While the media obsessively reports on the nipple fetish allegations, the real power play is happening in the communications between Vance's office and foreign capitals. This is the start of a global realignment. Jacob Rees is reportedly managing these high-stakes interactions, acting as a shadow diplomat for the new right. This move has sent shockwaves through the intelligence community, particularly among those loyal to the old guard. The Mossad is reportedly watching these developments with growing alarm. They see a vice president who is more interested in his own regime change than in maintaining traditional security guarantees. It gets even darker. There are whispers of sensitive intelligence being shared with regional actors who do not align with our long-term interests. This is the ultimate betrayal of the America First doctrine. If Vance is willing to use the ransom files to damage his own party's leadership, what is he willing to do on the world stage? The answer is becoming clearer with every leaked document and every secret meeting. We are witnessing the total breakdown of the MAGA command structure. The loyalty that once defined this movement has been replaced by a ruthless pursuit of a post-Trump future. The ransom files were just the opening act. The real climax of this crisis will involve secrets that go far beyond the walls of Mar-a-Lago or the halls of the Capitol. As we move into the next phase of this collapse, the focus is shifting toward a leak that could end Vance's career or solidify his path to absolute power. This involves the most sensitive intelligence on the planet. The documents in question concern Kurdish forces and their role in the ongoing struggle against Iran. This is the high-stakes reality that the media is completely ignoring while they chase the latest scandal. But we are following the evidence wherever it leads. The connection between the domestic Epstein fallout and the international intelligence breach is undeniable once you see the full picture. Everything you thought you knew about the stability of this administration is being proven wrong in real time. The person sitting right next to the president is the one holding the hammer that will shatter the entire movement. Vance knows that the only way to survive the coming storm is to be the one who controls the narrative of the collapse. He's not just a participant, he is the director of this entire crisis. Stay focused, because the next development involves a betrayal so massive it will make the ransom files look like a minor distraction. We are talking about a leak that has put our most critical intelligence assets in the crosshairs of a foreign power. The breakdown is accelerating. The alliance is failing. And the man who was supposed to be the successor is now the chief architect of the destruction. This is the end of the line for the old MAGA hierarchy. As the intelligence community begins to push back, the stakes are rising to a level we have never seen in American history. Every move Vance makes from this point on is designed to ensure that when the dust settles, he is the only one left standing. But he may have underestimated the power of the forces he is trying to manipulate. The next chapter of this crisis will reveal the true depth of the betrayal. It involves a leak to Turkey that has sent the Israeli intelligence community into a state of total panic. As the Trump-Netanyahu relationship enters its final, terminal phase, the world is about to see just how far J.D. Vance is willing to go. The total collapse of the MAGA hierarchy is no longer a possibility. It is an unfolding reality. The total collapse of the MAGA hierarchy is no longer a possibility. It is an unfolding reality. We are now witnessing the fallout of J.D. Vance's direct line to Ankara. Intelligence sources confirm that sensitive Mossad operational data regarding Kurdish positions was transmitted through unauthorized backchannels. This wasn't a clerical error or a simple misunderstanding by a junior staffer. It was a deliberate strike against the traditional alliance structure that has defined Republican foreign policy for decades. The Israeli intelligence community is in a state of absolute shock. They spent years building a deep rapport with the Trump administration, only to have the vice president sell them out. This move signals that the new right is prioritizing ties with Turkey over the security of Israel. It is a fundamental betrayal that has sent shockwaves through Tel Aviv. Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly livid as he realizes his supposed strongest ally in the West is now his greatest liability. The trust between the two leaders hasn't just been damaged, it has been completely vaporized. We are witnessing the final terminal divorce of the Trump-Netanyahu partnership. For Trump, this is a nightmare scenario he cannot control. His own hand-picked successor is executing a foreign policy that runs counter to everything the MAGA movement once stood for. Connect the dots here, because this isn't just about one leak. This is about J.D. Vance establishing himself as a global player who does not answer to the old guard. He is following the philosophy of regime change by Patrick Deneen to the absolute letter. This doctrine demands a total break from the liberal conservative consensus of the past. If that means sacrificing their relationship with Israel to court a regional power like Turkey, Vance is clearly willing to do it. The internal chaos is being managed by Jacob Reeses, Vance's chief of staff. Reeses has been the quiet architect of this pivot. Reports suggest that Reeses is now the most powerful man in the vice president's office. He's ensuring that the America First doctrine is replaced by a more ruthless, transactional realism. This has left traditionalists like Marco Rubio absolutely stranded. They are watching the party they once knew disappear in real time. Meanwhile, the domestic scandals are being used as a massive smokescreen for these geopolitical shifts. The Epstein files and the allegations involving Trump's personal life are dominating the headlines. This is exactly what the Vance camp wants. While the media focuses on salacious emails from Sarah Ransom regarding a nipple fetish, the real power grab is happening in the Situation Room. They are using the chaos to hide their tracks. But the Mossad isn't distracted by the tabloid drama. They are now treating the vice president's wing as a hostile entity within the United States government. This is an unprecedented situation in the history of American diplomacy. We are looking at an administration that is actively at war with itself on the world stage. The total collapse of the MAGA hierarchy is being accelerated by these international betrayals. Trump is finding out that loyalty in the new right only goes one way. He is being sidelined by the very movement he created. The power has shifted, and the consequences will be felt for generations. This leak to Turkey is the smoking gun that proves the old alliances are dead. As we move closer to the midterms, the instability will only grow. The Republican Party is no longer a unified front. It is a collection of warring factions with no clear leader. The world is watching a superpower implode from the inside. This is the ultimate cost of the MAGA era. The betrayal of Israel is just the beginning of a much larger realignment. We are entering a period of global uncertainty where the rules of the past no longer apply. The hierarchy has collapsed, and what comes next is a direct threat to the status quo. If you followed this deep dive into the crumbling MAGA structure, you know the stakes couldn't be higher. This is the end of the narrative as we know it. But the real-world fallout is just starting. The strategic leak to Turkey served two purposes. It gained a new ally in Ankara and permanently severed the ties to the Netanyahu era. This was a declaration of independence by J.D. Vance. One thing is certain. The political landscape of the United States will never be the same after this betrayal. The old guard is finished, and the new regime is making its move. This is the reality we must now face. If you found this analysis critical to understanding the current crisis, hit the subscribe button right now. We are on a mission to reach 100,000 truth seekers who refuse to look away from the facts. Your support keeps this independent reporting alive. Don't let the mainstream spin hide what is really happening in the Situation Room. Join our community and help us hold these figures accountable. The truth is coming out, and it's more explosive than anyone imagined. Make sure to check out our previous chapters to see how this entire collapse began. We'll be back soon with more breaking analysis as this story continues to develop. Thank you for watching Waveborn Command.